Alright, hey, what's up guys? It's me, your girl Portia, and today I am about to do my, well, it's not gonna be my first time telling a story time on my channel, but I took the last story time down just because I feel like I did a lot of rambling in it. So today I'm about to attempt to tell y'all about the time that I almost got arrested and I lied to the police. So yeah, so just stay tuned if you want to hear this story time and see how I almost went to this. Alright y'all, anyway, this story ended up happening when I was 14 years old. Okay, I was 14 when this happened. So at the point in time, my family moved around a lot. So this particular day, my grandma was supposed to have been coming over to see our new house. And my grandma always was the type of grandma that did not want a cell phone, so no way of like contacting her or anything like that while she was on the road. So basically she called my mom that day and she was like, hey, I'm about to come to see y'all new house or whatever. I was just calling to let you know that I am leaving the house right now. So my mom was like, okay, cool or whatever. My mom basically explained to her where the house was, but if we needed to contact her like while she was on her way, we would not have been able to. So basically my grandma ended up, like, the street that we lived on, it was like the main road through the town. Like, you could see the main road, so if anybody drove into the town, like, they would pass right by our house and we would see you. As we're standing outside on the porch of our house, we basically see my grandma zoom by. So, you know, we flagging like, hey. She did not notice this because my grandma was the type of person, when she's driving, she's like this. She never turns her head like to see anything that's on the left or the right of her. Like, so many deers done ran into this woman's car. So she say the deers run into her, but really we know that it's just she didn't see the deers and ended up bumping into them like in her car. But anyway, so her down and all this net, she did not see us. So my mom was like, Portia, jump in the car, go basically see if you can catch up with her and bring her back to the house. So I was like, okay, cool. And disclaimer, yes, I was 14 or whatever, but my parents taught me how to drive at a very young age, and then I stayed in the country also. So at like the age of 9 and 10, I was basically just whipping that thing. By like 11 or 12, my mom and my dad was actually letting me ride into town to go to the grocery store and make groceries for them and bring it back home. Your girl could drive. I was whipping that thing. Okay, I jump in the car or whatever to go catch my grandma. So when I jump in the car, of course, with me being like a teenager, and then back in that day when I was 14, it was probably like 2007, like Soulja Boy and all them, like, they were popular. Like, that's when they was popping, and like everybody wanted to like listen to Soulja Boy's music basically. And I had my little CDs. Anyway, so I popped in my CD or whatever. Like, of course, it was one of them little bootleg, you know, CDs. You know, you get people to burn you the music on the CDs. Yes, and that's what I used to do. $10, $5. So basically, I put my CD in. I turned the radio up. I didn't have it blasting really loud. Like, to me, I did not have the radio like up too loud or anything. But I did have my music blasting, and I'm pretty sure, like, if you were standing on the outside of my car, you probably heard me doing that booty me, shake that booty me, that booty me, girl, shake that booty me, all up on me, Soulja. You know, so you probably heard that if you was on the outside of the car, you know. So anyway, y'all, so what I ended up doing was I ended up going down the road or whatever. I did not see my grandma. Like, I don't know where this woman went, but I did not see her. So basically, I just did like a block, turned back around. When I made the block and proceeded to come home, all of a sudden I hear, y'all know, you know that sound that makes the pit of your stomach drop? That sound. So I hear that and I'm like, I know this is the police behind me. I know this is not the police. I know the police is not behind me. Like, what could he possibly want? Like, what did I do wrong? I didn't do anything wrong. I pull over. pull to the right. Pull to the right or whatever. The police gets out of his car, walks to my car. So I can't remember if he greeted me or whatever. I want to say from what I'm going to tell you what I remember. So what I remember is him walking up to my car. He asked me for my driver's license.
I tell him that I do not have my driver's license on me.
But in actuality, I didn't have a driver's license, y'all. I didn't have a driver's license. I was only 14. You couldn't even get your permit until you were 16. I didn't have a license. He was like, okay, how old are you? And I was like, how old am I?
I'm 18.
I'm 18. I'm 18. So he was like, okay, well, since you don't have a driver's license, give me your social security number.
I don't know. I don't know my social security number.
You know, telling him that, he's looking at me like, what? Like, so you 18, you don't have a driver's license, and you don't know your social security number. So he basically looks at me and is like, get out the car. Get out the car. So I'm like,
okay, whatever.
Like, I kid you not. Like, during this whole situation, I was so calm. Like, I didn't have butterflies, like nervous or anything that this man was talking to me. I was so calm the whole time. I was nonchalant about the fact that I just got pulled over by the police officer. I'm only 14 years old. I'm not supposed to be driving. Like, my parents is not with me. Like, I was just so nonchalant. It's like, I did not care. It's like, it did not register in my head that I was in trouble. Okay, I guess, and the reason why I didn't register in my head that I was in trouble was because I'm like, I didn't do nothing. Like, what did I do? So once he tells me to get out the car or whatever, he ended up telling me that my music was too loud, and that's why he pulled me over. So I was just like,
okay.
So I get out the car. He's like, put your hands behind your back or whatever. I proceed to put my hands behind my back, still nonchalant. I mean, I'm not saying anything. Like, I'm not fussing with him. I'm not saying nothing. I'm basically answering the questions that he's asking me and doing what he said do. So I get out the car or whatever. He said, put your hands behind your back. I put my hands behind my back and my phone rings. Y'all, like, my phone ringing saved my life. When my phone rings, I look at the police officer and I'm like,
oh, I'm sure that's my mother calling me. Can I answer the phone?
He surprisingly tells me yes. He was like, yeah, like, you can answer the phone. He tells me yeah. So when he tells me yeah, I'm like, okay, reach into the car, get my phone and answer it. And my mom is like, where are you? And I'm like,
oh, I've gotten pulled over by the police or whatever. Like, I'm right outside of the house though.
Like, yeah, I was literally in my yard, but I was like at the back of the house. The side of the house that we went in on, you had to go on around the road and come in like the little dirt driveway. I was in the front of the house where you would have to like go through the gate to get into the house. So I was literally like on the other side of the house, but I was basically at home in my yard. When I tell my mama, she's like, what? You done got pulled over? My mama comes running out of the house with her pajamas and her socks on. So my mom runs up in the middle of me getting handcuffed and is like, no. Like, that's what she's saying to the police officer. So the police officer is turning around at this point. He's like, what the heck is going on? My mom is like, she's 14. You're not gonna handcuff her. Like, running her mouth. Y'all, when I tell you, this police officer, the look on his face goes to, he could not believe that I was 14. So I don't know if you guys know, but police officers were not supposed to put minors in handcuffs. And if they did, they could get in a lot of trouble if the kid wasn't just acting out and running and falling all over the ground. Like if you were cooperating with them, they were not supposed to put you in handcuffs, basically. But if you were not cooperating with them and if you were giving them a hard time and not listening and trying to run for your life, of course they were going to restrain you so you couldn't get away. This man started shaking so hard. I can't even explain. I'm gonna try to explain the shake that this man was doing. This man started popping buckets of sweat. He was sweating so profusely. It was crazy. And I'm looking at him, and for him to like be completely dry when I had just looked at him and then I turned back like 30 seconds later and his face is full of sweat. It was crazy. It looked like somebody took a bucket of water and poured it on him, like threw it on him. So what ended up happening was like the man, he just started shaking, like he was shaking like he was a junkie and he needed his fix and he hadn't had it in a long time. Like he was shaking like he was darn near about to have a seizure, y'all. Like this man was like tweaking because of the fact that I was 14 and he just almost put me in handcuffs. He was like, she told me that she was 18. Like my mom looked at me like, you told him you're 18? And I looked at her and I was like, you know, yeah. And y'all, this whole time I am so calm. Like when I think back now on how calm I was during this situation, I'm like, why don't you have that same calmness now? Like why aren't you that patient now with stuff? Like I was so calm and collect during this situation. So she looks at me and she's like, did you tell him that you were 18? And I'm like, yeah, or whatever. Like I told him I was 18. And like basically my mom asked me like, why would you tell him you're 18? And I was like,
because I thought if I said I was 18, I would get in trouble for the fact that I was driving and I wasn't supposed to be.
So the police officer ended up, he still gave me a ticket, but he didn't take me to jail or whatever. Like he was done. Like once my mom said that I was 14 or whatever. So fast forward about a week later, I ended up having to go to court or whatever for the ticket that I had. And when I went, like it was just a bunch of people honestly just standing around waiting to be called into the courtroom for whatever had happened. And I'm guessing, y'all, that this same officer was the one that gave everybody that was waiting a ticket, because he was the only officer that was there at the point in time. Like he was the only one sitting in there with the judge when you went in. So I'm guessing that he was the one that issued everybody in there a ticket. And there was a lot of people in there. Like no lie, it was over 20 people, maybe not quite 30 people in this room sitting and waiting to be seen, like to go see the judge or whatever. When I go in at this point in time, I have the biggest attitude. Like it was funny how calm I stayed during the situation when I actually got pulled over versus when I actually had to go to court. When I went to court, I had the biggest attitude. That was my attitude when I ended up going in the court. So I went in or whatever. Like the judge, he was really, really nice. I ended up having to pay half of the ticket. And the ticket was like $600 and something because that day I ended up paying $300 and something on the ticket. Like 300 and something. I don't know exactly how much it was. Court, everything was good. The only thing that got me was the judge ended up making me tell the police officer thank you, and that bothered me. And I already had an attitude, and I honestly felt like the judge made me tell him thank you because I had an attitude and he probably could tell it. Like even though I was kind of smiling at him, being nice to him, like when it came to the actual police officer that was standing in the room with us, I was like, the judge ended up looking at me once I ended up paying the money, and he was like, this officer helped you out a lot. Like this officer went easy on you. And he was like, now tell him thank you. My dad is sitting on this side of me. I'm looking at my dad like,
I am not about to tell him thank you. Like he didn't do anything to help me. Why would I tell him thank you? If he helped me, he wouldn't have gave me a ticket. Like he would have just sent me home with my mom. I'm not telling him thank you.
you know, and I'm just like, the judge is like, tell him thank you, tell him thank you. My dad ended up bumping into me and was like, say thank you. And I was like,
Thank you.
so we ended up going home or whatever. And honestly, I never paid the rest of that ticket, and I didn't pay the rest of the ticket because they didn't have my social security number. All they had was my name, Portia Franks. They didn't have my license like number. They didn't have anything on me like to basically track me down. So to this day, when they look me up, like that ticket is not on my record because they didn't have anything on me. Like literally, when the man ended up writing me the ticket, my mom didn't give him any of my information other than the fact that my name is Portia Franks. So yeah. You know, I just kept my music down in that town, and honestly I felt like he stopped me because that town was really, really small and it never was anything really going on in that town. So I felt like the police officers were just riding around looking for something to stop people for because they were bored. Like, so yeah guys, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. If you enjoyed this story time, then thumbs up this video. Please do not forget to subscribe to my channel, and also if you would like to hear more of my crazy stories, because I really honestly have a crazy life. If you would like to hear more of my story times, just let me know, and I definitely would I don't mind telling more of my story times. I hope I'm entertaining while telling the story though, because I'm not sure if I am, but I hope I am. I think my stories are entertaining though. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Bye.